Learning Masech the Soita Perek 48a in the Bavli. The more questions Miklal. The reasoning of Yesodei Ranino that they would not give Ma'aser Rishon to the Levi. That's why they stopped making Vidui Ma'aser. Nafushi Avim Mafrishi. They would set it aside, just that they didn't give it to the proper person. For Tani we learned in the Brisa. Afu. He's also Yechon Kohen Gadol Bitel Es HaVidui. He nullified the confession because Alad Mai. He said that if an ignoramus has fruit, then you have to take tithe from it. The truma, the ma'aser, the fisher sholach, because he sent a check b'chol gvul Yisrael throughout the boundaries of Israel. If they do it properly, so they only took off the main truma for the kohen. When it came to the first tithe and the second tithe, the first tithe given to the Levi, the Ma'aser Sheni brought it to Yisrael, Miktzos and Ma'aser and Miktzos and Ein Ma'aser. Some of them did take tithes and some of them didn't. Omalahem, he said to them, Bonai, my children, let me tell you, so just like if you do not take off the truma, when you take off the truma gedola and a non-kohen eats it, he's liable for a death penalty from heaven. So too, even if you took off the tithe and kept it for yourself, you didn't give the kohen his portion, and you ate it, the tevel, or you didn't take it off at all. There is a liability of death min hashamayim. Therefore, he went ahead and he enacted for them that a non-ignoramus is not believed on the Ma'asers, only on Truma Gedolah. Therefore, somebody who purchases fruit from ignoramus, Ma'afish man has to take from them Ma'aser Rishon. The first tithe that was given to the Levi, Ma'aser Sheni, you bring to Yerushalayim. Ma'aser Rishon, Ma'afish Mimeno. Ma'aser Rishon, he takes from it a tenth for Trumas Ma'aser, and he takes off from that. They put a set aside for the Ma'aser, a tenth for the Kohen. The noise of the Kohen, he gives it to the Kohen. Ma'aser Sheni, Oile B'Ochle B'Yerushalayim. He has to bring it up and go up to Yerushalayim to eat it there. Ma'aser Rishon and Ma'aser Oni, when it comes to Ma'aser Rishon and Ma'aser Oni, which are there since they are questionable as to whether the ignoramus took them or not. Therefore, the person can keep it to himself. He's not obligated to give it to the Levi or to poor people, but he can say it's Ma'aser Rishon or Ma'aser Oni in the 3rd and 6th year and eat it himself. So the Gemara says, Tati, there were two edicts. Tiken, Yechon Kohen Gadol. Bitel Vidui, he nullified the confession of Vidui. The Chaverim, even of the learned. He goes out and he enacted an edict on the mai, meaning the mixture that we don't know whether it was tithe or not, of the ignoramuses. We learned in the Mishnah, and he was also somebody who nullified those who claimed forgeries. What's ma'oirim? Amar Chavo. Rambam said, every day and day, and he was standing on the podium. They said the Mizbah, Hashem. Awake, and why should you sleep, Hashem? Therefore, they're called those who complain. He nullified them. He said, what are you saying? Wake up. Is there then sleep before God? It says, behold, he does not slumber or sleep. Shemi Yisrael. Just rather when Yisrael are found in pain. And the idol worshippers find themselves at peace and complacent. That's ilu. There is a change before them. That's why we say Hashem. It's as if you're overlooking and sleeping and neglecting Klal Yisrael. We go to the Mishnah. What's a noikfim? What's a noikfim? The Gemara says, "My noikfim." What's noikfim? Amar Yudam Shmuel. Yudam Shmuel explains. Mosortin leegel bein kano. They would cause a scratch to a calf between its horns. This causes a lot of blood to come down on the eyes. They won't see when they're going to slaughter it. Also, iu bottle. And he nullified this practice because it looks like the animal has a mum. The Masnita will learn that they would strike the animal with sticks to cause it to fall down, as was the practice of those who practice idols to do the same thing. And noikfum means striking. Amalai said, till when will you cause that which is unkosher to be eaten by the Mizbeach? The Gemara says, Nevelis? Why can you say that they are carcasses? They're slaughtered. Eli meant to say, treifers, that they were injured during being beaten. Maybe the membrane that's over the brain had a hole in it, and that's treif. Therefore, he established there should be rings in the ground to hold the animal, and they won't have to strike it and be fearful of it rearing in the middle of the slaughtering. We learned in the Mishnah, in his days during Chol HaMoed, the people, if you heard a banging, they knew it was because something had to be fixed, and you can do that if it's necessary. Kohen came along and he forbade it because you could hear it very far, and people who can't know why he's doing it, so you think he's working. We learned in the Mishnah, in his days, no one had to question whether regarding Demai. As we said before, he was enacted that an ignoramus, from an ignoramus, you have to take a tithe. Therefore, we didn't ask somebody who was learned if he offered them a portion of fruit or something that grows on the ground, whether it was done correct, whether he knows for sure it was tithe, because the learned person would have tithed it all by himself. We come to the next Mishnah. In the Mishnah continues to tell us all the good aspects that were found in Klal Yisrael. Mishabotel Sanhedrin, once the Sanhedrin was no longer in place, Botel Hashim Beis HaMishtoyis. They no longer sang in the places where we drank wine. Shenema B'shir lo yishtu yayin. That when you are singing, you should not drink wine. Shemeisu Nevi'im Rishonim. When the first Nevi'im passed away, Botlu Urim V'tumim. The Urim V'tumim stopped functioning. Mishachol Beis HaMikdash. Once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Botlu HaShomer. Then the Shomer no longer cut the stone. The Noives Sufim. This will be explained in the Gemara. Uposko Anshe Hamono Yisrael. This too will be explained in the Gemara. Shenema says, Oshi Hashem, save us, O Lord, because there is no longer a righteous person, and there are no longer emunim, people who are believers among the people. Rabbi Shimon says, Hey, Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua stated witness. From the day the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, there's no day that doesn't have a curse, and the dew does not come down for blessing. Peirush, and the fruits do not taste as good as they used to. Rabbi says, the fatness of the fruit has been lifted. Rabbi Shimon said, no, they didn't keep tahara, not lo es hatamas harech, took away the taste and the smell. HaMeir was they didn't give tithes, not lo shuman dogon, took away the fatness of the wheat. Rambam say aznus, it was promiscuity, Akshafim and magic, Bekilu is Akril, destroyed everything. So the Gemara tells us, we learned in the Mishnah, that when the Sanhedrin was nullified, they stopped singing in a place of drinking. We learn it from while singing, you should not drink wine. The Gemara says, "Rimai the Mishabot Sanhedrin Ksiv." How do I know that this passage refers to the Sanhedrin's not being in its place? Amar Avuna B'Rei Rabbi Yeshua. So Avuna B'Rei Rabbi Yeshua says the Omar Kro. There's another posuk in Eichos. Zekenim Mishar Shavosu Bachurim Miniginoinoisom. That the elders of the gate, meaning at the gate of the Beis Hamikdash, were suspended, and therefore the young people stopped singing. So we see one is connected to the other. Omar Av Udna, the Shomo Zimro. Rav Udna says, and here that his singing Teoka should be uprooted. Amar Rava, Rava says Zimro the Beiso. If somebody sings in his house, Churva B'Sefer will be destroyed. And at the entranceway, Shenemaz, it says Koil Yishoyre B'Chaloin. When you hear singing by the window, Choyrev B'Sav Ki Alzo Ero. There is Choyrev at the threshold, and it means because of the hearing the singing in the window, there will be destruction at the threshold of the house. The Gemara says, "My ki arzo ero." What does ki arzo ero mean? Amar Yitzchak says, "Bayis hamesuboch ba'arozim iru." If it's a house that was made out of cedar, is like a city. It's difficult to destroy. Even such a house which is made out of cedar becomes weakened and breaks. Rashi says, Shema Mino. In this pasuk we see when a destruction begins in a house, B'sifo, it begins at the threshold. That's where it begins. Shenema Choyrev B'Saf. The destruction begins at the threshold. But we can learn Mihocha from elsewhere. Ushi'io Yukas Shoah. A desolate house that no one dwells in, there we find that the Shadim, the devils, are those who destroy it. Amar Baravashi. Amar Rashi said, I saw that demon, and he goes around battering the house like an ox does. Amar Avuna says, the sound that they sing on a ship, that means to make them work, make their work going to a certain speed, with the bakoring, and also those who plow the grounds also sing. It is to tell, to make sure that everything is done properly. Shoring, that's permitted. It's not called forbiddenness of singing. Tegadoi, those who weave, also is forbidden because they want to enjoy themselves. So the Gemara tells us, Avuna bottle zimro. Avuna forbade on his generation to sing in their houses and in their drinking places, and therefore the world became richer. Kol meya azuzi bezuza. That what used to cost 100 avozi, so there was 100 geese, cost of zuza meya so chiti bezuza, and 100 bushels of chito bezuza. That means it went down the price. Loi boi, they didn't want to buy it even so. Also, Rav Chizdo came along as Zilzil Bey. He made light of the edicts of Rav Huna, and he said, "Go ahead and sing," and therefore it stopped. Iboi Avza Bezuza Lavishtakach. They tried to even find one geese for a zuz, they couldn't find it. Amar Yosef. Rav Yosef says, "Zamri Gavri v'Oni Nashi." When men sing and the women answer, that's pritus. That's promiscuity, because a woman's voice is forbidden. Zamanoshi v'Oni Gavri. If women sing and men answer, and that it causes the lust to come. Ke'esh ben oirus. This is just like fire that grabs onto wool. So the Gemara says, since they're both forbidden, what difference does it make? Why is one more stringent? That if you have to take your time to do it, first you stop the men answering the women, then you stop the women answering the men. Yochanan says, if anyone drinks wine with 4 types of song, maybe chomesh peroniyos lo'olam, he causes 5 terrible things to happen to the world. Shenema, it says, hoi, mashkime, baboika, shecho yodoifu. Woe, those who get up in the morning and drink, you run after drink. Ma'achri beneshef yayin adlikim. V'hoyo kino v'nevel toiv v'cholol v'yayin mishteim. Ve'eis poyer Hashem liyabitu. So we have here, it says here, a few things: kinor, novel, a violin and a harp, toiv, v'cholol, a flute and a drum, and we have 4 types by yayin. Maksiv, what troubles come afterward? Lochein golo ami v'blidas. Therefore, my nation was exiled without knowledge. That's one thing. Shegurim and golos lo'olam. They caused the world to have exile. Uchvoidoi mesei rov. And this is the second thing that caused the damage they caused. That she may be rov lo'olam. That there are many who die of hunger. V'hamoinoi tzichech tzomo. And this is the third type of difficulty, meaning that the Torah shall be forgotten, because Torah is similar to water, and everyone's thirsty. There's no Torah. This is the 4th trouble. Because shivlos the sign of HaKodesh Baruch Hu. The humbleness, or the despondence, the enemies of our God. Ve'ein ish, what does ish mean? HaKodesh Baruch Hu means Hashem. Shenem Hashem ish Melchom, as we find in the Shira, God is the man of war. Ve'eini gevoyim tishpalno, and the eyes of those who are high should go down. Shegoyim shivla shal Yisrael. They cause humbleness by Yisrael. Maksiv achro. What does it say after all these 5 difficulties? Lochein, therefore. We begin 48b. And it starts off, Hirchiva sho'el nafsho. The sho'el, which is the Gehenna, becomes widened. The Piyot opens up its mouth, those who do not keep the commandments, Yod HaDorah, and their beauty goes down, V'hamoino u'she'oino v'oleis bo. That at the end, every one of these evil people will fall into Gehenna. Halacha Daled. If somebody kills somebody who's chasing someone else to either murder or rape them, and he killed him, and he could have saved him by just cutting a limb or injuring a limb. Ne'alig olav, a guy would be liable for that. Machon can be Yisrael. By Yisrael, there's no such law. The relative you're allowed to kill him, even if you could save him some other way. Umamshich, and there he continues. If you can save with one of the limbs, that you don't have to kill him in order to save him. You can save him. We'll cut it by cutting off a hand or a leg, and he didn't do so, but he killed him. There, he's liable for the death penalty when you can save him with one of the limbs of the person who's chasing, and you can't kill him. But Bezdin don't kill for that. That, in other words, you're not considered a murderer. That's what he means here. The Noach that did so, would be liable for a death penalty. The case of Mishnah cites a brisa. A gun, a thief, or he stole or robbed, and also Yevastaya, all of these, Rashi explains, when we talk about a robber, this is the mitzvah of Bnei Noach, it's for them forbidden to steal and rob. And also Yevastaya, a goy, if he would take the wife of someone that was captured in battle, right, he's liable for a death penalty. And other things of that nature that aren't really theft, similar. The din is by a goy, if it's a goy, between goy, and a goy be Yisrael, it's forbidden. Yisrael be goy, it's permitted. So the Gemara continues, so too, when it comes to death penalties, it's not brought in the brisa that they're similar to spilling blood, and a Yisrael and a goy is permitted to do it, and a goy is forbidden, but he's not killed for it, because when it comes to murder, the goy is liable death penalty, or it's permitted for him in its entirety. So even though it would be forbidden, he wouldn't be liable. So the Mishnah explains that Rambam learned the words of Abaye, that the brisa is like Rabbi Yonasan and Shol, who says in the brisa, someone chases after somebody else to kill him, you can save him with one of his limbs. The one of the limbs of the person is chasing, to cut off his hand or his legs, and he killed him, he is liable. He doesn't come to disagree with Rabbi Yonasan. He just says, he's just telling us that you find another brisa that these would be the words that it says there, that would be the words of Rabbi Yonasan. And since there is no one who disagrees, the Rambam says, Paskins here, like Rabbi Yonasan, that he would be liable for the death penalty. The Halacha Mishnah argues, from the Gemara, it would seem that the Chacham disagree on Rabbi Yonasan. And he argues further, what does he say? It's not the same by Yisrael. What about Rabbi Yonasan? Ben Shol, a goy be Yisrael and a goy be goy and Yisrael be Yisrael are all the same. Just the Yisrael be goy is potter, like the brisa said. A goy be goy and goy be Yisrael is chayev. And Yisrael be Yisrael is chayev. The Gemara says in the brisa ki yotzeh, and it means that even by a roidif after somebody else, it should be the same. It should that Yisrael be goy is potter. Although the goy be Yisrael is liable in the misa, the Bezdin do not kill him. To be a Rambam and Yisrael are therefore not understood. If we won't explain them with difficulty, that his intent is that Yisrael may do so with the Goy's potter. So we don't understand. Here he concludes that he's liable for death penalty from heaven. Just that Bezdin do not kill him. Yisrael by Goy, even Misa b'dei Shomayim, there's no Misa b'dei Shomayim. The Rebbe disagrees with the Rambam. Omar Avram Kashalei Avner. According to Rambam, as he explained Avner, the case of Mishnah cites Sanhedrin 49a. After Avner killed Ashoel, is Yoyev Hitas Avner l'ter Hasha. As it says, Vayetei Yoyev l'ter Hasha. He took him he pushed him into the doorway to speak with him, and he struck him down. And he killed him. Amar Yochanan, V'hateu Yoyev l'ter Hasha, it means where the Sanhedrin sit. Yoyev questioned Avner, why did you kill Ashoel, my brother? Avner said, because he was running after other people to kill them. Yoyev argued, should have saved him with one of his limbs. And Avner says, I couldn't do it. This is the Rabbi's question. Avner said to the Sanhedrin, that even the Yisrael that you can say with one of their limbs, right, and he killed him, he's liable. So from the scenes of the Gemara, that the Rabbis learned that even the Yisrael that can say with one of the limbs is liable. That's what Avner was arguing. The Kesef Mishnah explains that the Rambam learns doesn't mean that the Sanhedrin judged Yoav to death, but the posuk is Shar is talking about Bezdin, and it's just a reliance. But it doesn't say that they accepted witnesses in regard to this. We don't find that they warned Avner you shouldn't kill him. It should also be a difficulty if somebody's chasing somebody else to warn him in the middle. You're chasing the chaser, but remember, and without Asra, there's no Sanhedrin do not kill anyone. Furthermore, because of what Yoav estimated that Avner could have saved others by one of their limbs, that's why he's liable. He shouldn't be liable for death penalty, and I did. Even the Gemara is brought down that they judged Yoav, and he argued, and they weren't appeased by his arguments, and Avner was not liable for the death penalty only because of other arguments, other reasons that they had against him. Proof of that is David, before he died, told Shlomo, remember what Yoav ben Tzruya did, that he killed the two leaders of the enemy armies of Yisrael. He did to Avner and to Amshur ben Yeser, and he killed them. Therefore, and you use your wisdom and do not permit him to die a regular death. Shlomo said, Asher pogam b'shnei anoshim tzadikim. That was told to him in verse 6, and in verse 32 it says, you killed two righteous men. And if Avner be'emes was liable for the death penalty, how does he call him a tzaddik? Because the Mishnah adds that Avner knew all this. He says ze einoi. It's just kosher. We have to understand Avner, because it could be you could answer like the Kesef Mishnah. Avner was not killed with basis Bezdin. It's only a reliance. But the question is, from the simple language over there, we can learn that even a Yisrael who is chasing after somebody else, and another Jew could save him not by killing him, but rather by injuring him. If he didn't do so, he's liable for death. So the Kesef Mishnah brings from Hilchos that even if Bezdin does not kill on him, he questions why didn't the Rabbis say over there, what about Avner? And he answers that he relied on what he said here. The Mishnah Melech wants to answer the words of the Rambam, that somebody who's a brother who is a goyal adam, there is a law by Jews and by non-Jews that if someone kills someone else, then the closest relative is permitted to kill the person who killed him accidentally, and if he's not found in a city of refuge. He can also kill somebody who could have saved someone by taking one of his limbs, and he killed him anyway. Yoav was the girl of Dam of Ashur's brother. But Bezdin would not kill him because there's no death penalty. But a girl Adam doesn't have the din of a death penalty. Closest relative can do so. Therefore, the Gemara says Shah, that he came to the Sanhedrin, means he didn't come with him as a murderer, but rather he wanted to say, I have a din of a girl Adam, and the Gemara does not. This explanation of the Gemara is not like the Ravad, that he wanted to obligate the Sanhedrin to have him die, but rather as a goyal Adam, which is the next relative, who has a right to kill. The Mishnah Melech concludes he shouldn't be different that somebody who kills someone else with Eidos Miyuchodos, means individual witnesses. One witness saw him from one window, another witness saw him from a different window, a different angle. They weren't next to each other. The Rambam writes regarding death penalties, if the Goel Adam killed him, then he's considered a murderer, and therefore the Goel Adam, not the Goel Adam, the person he killed is considered liable to be put to death by the closest relative, because the Goel Adam has a right to kill him, even though there are two witnesses from two different windows. So by Goel Adam, there are different laws, and therefore Yoav was a Goel Adam of his brother, obviously, and Avner killed Ashoel when he could have saved him with one of his limbs. And even though the Yoav was not liable for death penalty from the Sanhedrin, a Goel Adam would be permitted to kill him, as we find in the HaMeir and Sanhedrin at the end of Perek 6. But the Minchas Chinuch cites that according to the Rambam, a Goel Adam could not kill him, just that if he did kill him, he's not liable. The Minchas Chinuch explains the question of the Ravid from Avner with the novel idea of the Mishnah Melech. That the din is, if somebody saves from a person who's pursuing somebody else, and somebody else saves them, but he's not permitted to kill him when he can save him by just taking a limb. That's only if somebody else comes to save him. But the person who's being chased doesn't have to say, wait a minute, I have to kick him in the leg and see if that'll stop him. He can kill him right away. And the Rambam should have therefore codified the Halacha that if Ben Noach is chasing someone else, and the person he's chasing saved himself by killing the person who wanted to kill him, even though he could have maybe incapacitated him some other way, so he's not killed for that. Just like any Jewish person who's being pursued, he doesn't have to try to save himself by disabling the pursuer. He can save himself by killing him. That was by Avner, that he was chased by Ashoel, and Avner was a Nirdov, and he killed Ashoel. He didn't save himself by disabling Ashoel, and therefore he didn't transgress anything. And even though Yoav was a Goel Adam, he had no permission to kill him, since the person who is being pursued has a right to save himself in any way, shape, or fashion. It's only the person who wants to save somebody else. This would apply to police, for example. If somebody's shooting at other people, the police who have a din of saving from a roidiv, if they kill him and they don't disable him, technically they would be liable for misa. As it seems, this distinction of the Mishnah Lamelech that Yoav, he could kill Avner as a Goel Adam, the person who was the closest relative. Everybody could have killed Ashoel. He doesn't, because he didn't have to. That is not the case, because he did not have to save himself with one of his limbs, because he was being pursued by Ashoel. The Advaz disagrees. He explains that the Ravid is arguing, from the Gemara would seem, that even the Yisrael who's chasing someone else is liable misa for death penalty. Even the person who's being pursued, if he could save himself by disabling the person who's pursuing him. So he questions the question of the Akasa Mishnah. Why does the Ravid say the question here and not in the Hilchos of murderers? And he answered the Ravid, it wasn't clear. Therefore he writes Kashel Avner, and he doesn't disagree. He just wants to make a point to say we have to understand what happened there. Redvaz cites that the two questions in the Rambam. I don't know, since if he could save himself with one of the limbs, he didn't save it, but he killed the pursuer, the pursued is liable for the death penalty. Why don't Bezin kill him? The Redvaz answers that any pursuer is actually putting his life, giving up his life, because he knows that the pursued will stand to save himself. Since But even if he could save himself with one of his limbs, he didn't do so. He's chayiv min hashamayim, as if he killed somebody. And since the roidev made his life freed for the taking, therefore the pursued is not killed. Yosef argues that the Kushis HaTorah does not begin. You can't warn a person, somebody's being pursued. Excuse me, you have to save him with one of his you have to incapacitate him, because he's not interested at that moment he's not trying to kill the other person, he's trying to save himself. Therefore, Amak a Mishnah, the Bezin does not kill him. There's no possibility of warning. You should know that you are liable because of Ritzeach, and that the pursuer should accept on himself has accepted upon himself to be liable for death for his action. The pursued has to accept it. According to the case of Mishnah, the pursued is liable for death penalty, but you don't kill him, since Bezin only kill when you warn. And by the pursuit, it's not shaykh to warn. It's not possible to warn him. Mishnah Melech argues on the divrei Rebbe Gabayis. We have to understand it. And the Chidor points out that the words of Beis Yosef seem to contradict his words here. That Yoav was liable for death penalty, just that they didn't warn him, means that there is a concept of warning. Also, he writes, there's not a possibility of warning by the person who kills the roidev. When he could save him with one of his incapacitating him by damaging one of his limbs. Thus we find, according to the Rambam, Ben Noach is killed if he killed the roidev, when he can save the nirdav with one of his, by disabling one of the limbs of the pursuer. But when he cannot save him, even a Ben Noach who is pursued could kill the person who's pursuing him to save himself, and he's not killed for that. The Minchas Chinuch points out that if the Torah would not tell us that it's a mitzvah to save the nirdav, even at the cost of the life of the pursuer, we would not know it from logic. I would assume that killing the pursuer is not considered saving lives. From Sanhedrin, the Gemara questions, how do I know that somebody pursues that you can kill him? It says in the Posuk 19:16, do not stand by while your friend is being killed. The Gemara doesn't accept that. You need that Posuk to teach us something else. The Gemara says that we learn it from a engaged maiden that is being pursued to be raped, that everybody can save the pursued young lady by killing the pursuer. As we find in Hilchos if somebody runs after his friend to kill him, you can save him with his life. And there, in Halacha 15, the first chapter, the Rambam cites that if you can save the pursued and by killing the pursuer, and you didn't do so, you transgress on the passage in Dvarim 25:12. You shall cut off his hands. And two other negative commandments: do not stand on your friend's blood, and do not be lenient regarding the pursuer. Don't stand on your friend's blood as you're pursued, because it's logical to say, why do you see that the blood of the pursuer is less valuable than the blood of the pursuer? Therefore, the Posuk tells us that you can kill the person who is pursuing, and that's why we need a posuk. Melochim questions. The Peirush Melochim says that a Benoach is commanded not to kill from the logic of why should your blood be sweeter than somebody else? And this is the same here. The Goy and the Yisrael have the same din, that when it's a question of life, we push off all laws, all mitzvahs, except for idol worship, immorality, illicit relationships, and murderers. By murder, Gemara says it's a logic, since even if they'll kill the other person, you have the question of why. If somebody tells you kill him or I'll kill you, the answer is I want to save myself. That's not an answer. How do you know that your blood is sweeter than the others? And he has to permit himself to be killed. From this logic, the Peirush Melochim says that even though a Benoach is not obligated to give his life for any mitzvahs, still for murder he does have to give his life. He can't say, well, they were going to kill me if I didn't kill the other one. And there's no logic to differentiate between by a goy that it should be permitted to kill someone else. So therefore, even if the goy is told either kill him or be killed, he's not allowed to kill because of the logic. Why is your blood sweeter? The Melochim questions: how do we know that if a goy is pursuing another goy, that you can kill the pursuer? Can turn around and kill the pursued is permitted to turn around and kill the pursuer, even though there's a question of life here. Since we're saying that death is not pushed off because of logic, the Benoach should not be able to kill him, because it doesn't say you can kill the pursuer to save himself. It is only the logic, and the logic is, wait a minute. Why is your life more important than his? You're killing him. And this is a proof to what the Marash Yafa says, that even though the logic is that there's no greater right to kill on Avodah Zarah and Gilui Arayos. So this proves what Marash Yafa says, that by a goy there's no concept of any need to not be able to save himself. That if a goy is being forced to do idol worship or illicit relationships, there's no mitzvah for Benoach to go on Kiddush Hashem, and therefore, if he's being pursued and he wants to kill the pursuer, he may do so. Therefore, by Yisrael it's a mitzvah to give himself up rather than kill somebody else. The Torah has to tell us that by a pursuer, that the pursued can kill him, because even though there's pikuach nefesh of himself, even though it's because there's no pikuach nefesh by Ritzicha, but that all the mitzvahs are the same and everything is pushed off because of his life, he doesn't have to give up his life. Therefore, from Yisrael we say we don't need a posek that a goy who's being pursued can save himself with the life, taking the life of the pursuer. So the Melochim argues from logic you can learn a law that the pursued himself could kill the pursuer, because the forbiddenness of Ritzicha is pushed away because of pikuach nefesh. But Benoach, another goy, would be forbidden to save the pursued and to kill him, because regarding him, there's no he has no right to kill, to save the life of someone else. He questions it, but the Rambam would seem that every Ben Noach can save somebody else who's being pursued, and he can kill the pursuer. Hilchos adds, after time, Hashem illuminated my eyes that even a Ben Noach is a posuk that he was given permission to save somebody who's being pursued by killing the pursuer. Because in Sanhedrin 72b, it says that somebody who pursues after somebody else, and he says, I'm a Jew, it says by Noach, whoever spills blood in blood, he shall be died. Meaning, save the blood of this one with the blood of that one. Like Rashi explains, and if anyone sees an action, someone being pursued, should kill the blood of the one who's pursuing. And since the posuk is said by Bnei Noach, it was repeated in Sinai by a Ganav who comes in a tunnel into somebody else's house, that you can kill him if somebody comes to come. So therefore, whatever was said by to Ben Noach was again said in Sinai is meant for the Ben Noach as well. Therefore, only because of the edict of the Torah can Ben Noach, another goy, save a goy who's being pursued from his pursuer by killing the pursuer. Therefore, even though the Mashiach says that a Ben Noach has to give his life from logic, if someone's going to kill him by a pursuit, the Torah says that he has a right to kill the pursuer to save the pursued, even by a Ben Noach. But there's still a difference between Yisrael and Ben Noach, because a Ben Noach is not commanded to kill the pursuer. By Yisrael, we learn from the posuk that your hands will be cut off if you don't do it, or if you still have you stand by and see your brother die, right? And other psukim. But Ben Noach, it doesn't say these psukim. Therefore, it's not a mitzvah. The Native Yudas of the opinion that the Rambam learned Shever Dam Ha'odom Ba'odom, that the posuk that speaks about somebody who spills the blood of a person because of a person, that Ben Noach is killed, is liable for death penalty if he kills fetuses. And the Orach Lanea also agrees with that. And what it said, we learned the Gemara that this, for the using it for a pursuer and a pursued, is only a reliance, but it's not actually a specific passage. That would change the situation a little bit over here. Just what we rely on. It's a rabbinical. I'm not sure what they mean by that. The Steichemed cites the Minchas Chanech and the Orach Lanea, and he writes that even if it's only reliance, it still proves that by Ben Noach there is a concept of pursued and pursuer and the third party saving. Chaim Briske questions if it's Exeras HaKosov of Roidev is only by a pursuer that his life is pushed off because of the life of the one who's being pursued, but the main saving of the pursued is because of the din of Pikuach Nefesh of all the Torah, or the whole saving of the pursued is because the posuk says so, and it stands on its own, separate from all other instances of Pikuach Nefesh, and it has nothing to do with Pikuach Nefesh that a person has to give up his life. Therefore, he is of the opinion, like the second idea that we had, that we learned from Shever Adam Ha'odom Ba'odom, his blood should be spilled, that a pursuer, his life can be taken even by a Ben Noach, by a third party. Ben Noach, there's also the law that he can kill a pursuer in order to save somebody who's being pursued, like the Rambam here. So even Ben Noach, if he can't save by incapacitating the other person, he can save him by killing him. And we don't find Pikuach Nefesh by Ben Noach. There's no concept, because Pikuach Nefesh is only by Yisrael. he has to give up his life for murder. But certainly it's exeres hakosov. It's an edict of the posuk that a pursuer his life can be taken. It does not constitute murder, and it's a different category than pikuach nefesh, which we usually find throughout the Torah, that it's understood in a different fashion. Here we have to say that the pursuer has given up his life by pursuing someone else.